This is He Knows the Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, y'all, let's get right into it, man. Hear me? Hear me? Well, Kevin Durant made it very clear, very, very, very clear, that when he played with the Oklahoma City Thunder, he played with guys that were athletic, guys that were athletes. He didn't play with skilled basketball players. See, that was the nail in the coffin to Kendrick Perkins and his nonsense. I told you guys, he should have never opened his mouth. When you average 5.5 points per game, how dare you have the audacity? You're not even a sum of all parts player. You are the lowly, beneath level of a sum of all parts player. Let me say it again. You are the lowly and beneath sum of all parts player. 5.5 points per game in your NBA season, your NBA career. But you got the nerve to come after the Slim Reaper. So he had to put the nail on the coffin. He had to talk about these OKC players, and he had to explain why they couldn't get him over the hump. See, what people have to understand is true alphas, they are going to do their job and they're going to deliver. But they're going to need an adequate sum of all parts to at least do their job to get them over the hump, i.e., a high-octane beta, aka alpha wannabe, in a Russell Westbrook that knows his role, knows his place, and lives in it as the number two. And then everybody else is the sum of all parts that plays their key role. This is what was the fundamental issue in OKC. The players on the team didn't understand from a hierarchy standpoint who was the number one and who was the number two guy. Why? Because Russell Westbrook rebelled against it. Remember what I told you guys about the burden of the number two guy. He has the ultimate burden of always relinquishing his number two to the number one. This is how basketball is played at its truest and its most properest levels. There's a hierarchy. This is why I tell a lot of these players they need to go to the Scottie Pippen school of betaship, because Scottie Pippen understood that Michael Jordan was the guy. When you have the guy on your team, that guy, I've explained this before in another video, you have to defer to that guy. The number two option has the constant burden of always reassuring number one that they are number one. This is how basketball is played. Absent of number two deferring consistently and authentically to number one, then you're going to have problems. And that was the issue, the silver lining issue that existed in OKC. So when you hear Kevin Durant said he played with athletes, he's talking about Russell Westbrook. Westbrook is not a skilled guy. The NBA Finals, Magic Johnson denoted this. He pointed out the frailties. He pointed out the issues that was associated with Russell Westbrook. What was it? He said that Russell Westbrook had the worst NBA playoff series he's ever seen from any point guard in an NBA Finals. Let me say it again. Russell Westbrook had the worst NBA playoff series in any point guard that he has seen played the game of basketball in the NBA Finals. You want to know why? Because Russell Westbrook kept checking shots up. He has an alpha mentality, but he lacks an alpha game. And when you have that kind of prevalent issue, it affects the 50, 40, 90 walking gazelle that is Kevin Durant. This is a guy who is 7 feet, damn near a center's height, but can run the floor like a point guard. You affect this dynamic. When you have a guy that's a one-in-a-century type of player in Kevin Durant that can score effortlessly, you're supposed to defer and give that ball to him relentlessly. Let me say it again. When you have a guy in Kevin Durant that scores the ball effortlessly, you're supposed to defer and give the ball to him relentlessly. And the reason for that is because the guy knows how to put the ball in the hoop. Like he said, he was the only one that could score threes and who had the skill set. Because people don't understand, basketball players are required to have skills. And they have it in certain gears and they have it in certain levels. True alphas have a complete repertoire of skills. They can put the ball on the floor. They have an expansive game for them to be able to shoot from the outside. They can drop step. They can pivot. They can basically jab step to the left, jab step to the right. They can take you to the post. They can hit pull-up shots, either i.e. 3-point shots or 2-point shots. They can sit there and pull up. They can do everything on the basketball court. There's not something that they can't do. Russell Westbrook is not what we call a consistent field goal shooter. So he has problems in that regard. And then on top of that, he takes the most erroneous shots in the most erroneous times of the game. This impacts the game. This is what I was trying to tell people when they sat here and blamed Kevin Durant. You can't blame a true alpha for a high-octane beta, aka alpha wannabe, not knowing their role and not knowing their place and always wanting to go against the grain. When they do that, it messes up the flow of the team. So Kendrick Perkins put the nail in the coffin when he ran his mouth. He already showed you through his betrayal who he was lining up with. And so much so that he even went against Rajon Rondo, the point guard that helped him to win a championship, all to defend Russell Westbrook. So clearly he has a personal stake invested in Russell Westbrook. So if I was Kevin Durant, I would take his insincere apology with a grain of salt. And I'm glad Kevin Durant put the nail on the coffin and explained why OKC could not get him over the hump. And that's why he left. Now, that's the truth of the fact of the matter. And like Kevin Durant, like Kobe did with Michael Jordan, said, this is your 55 and take it with your retirement. That was Kevin Durant's basically ultimate way of saying that the Oklahoma City Thunder was not the team that he was going to stay for the rest of his career. Plus, Sam Presti made it very evident that they were going to move forward with Russell Westbrook and not Kevin Durant. So you guys have to understand all of the mitigating factors that was associated with why Kevin Durant left that team. Basically, Russell Westbrook didn't know his place. He was uncoachable. No coach on that team could put him in his place. And this guy right here didn't understand that he was the number 2 guy. There was a recent comment that Russell Westbrook made so many years back when he was trying to compete with the likes of a Derrick Rose. And he said that I'm on the level of a Derrick Rose and I don't defer to nobody. That was a very troubling statement because Kevin Durant was on the team. And when they asked him, well, what about Kevin Durant? I don't defer to anybody. I don't defer to no Kevin Durant. Well, if you have a high-octane beta, aka alpha wannabe game, how are you not willing to defer to the true alpha? This is the problem. Basketball is a hierarchy. There has to be an option 1. There has to be an option 2. And then there's a sum of all parts. Absence this, you don't have a basketball team. It's really that simple, folks. This is He Knows the Sport. Checking out.